Everybody, Randy Patterson here with Boomerosity again, and we're bringing back an old friend of ours, Sean Chambers, blues great out of Florida. It's been about 4 years since we last interviewed him, but man, he is still rocking and rolling in the blues world, and he's got a brand new live album out called Live from Daryl's House Club. And of course, Daryl is none other than Daryl Hall of Hall & Oates fame. And it's a great little venue in Florida, and Sean's recorded a live album there. But he's got a band behind him that you may have heard of. It's the Savoy Brown Rhythm Section, who, of course, was part of the Savoy Brown Band, led, of course, by the late, great Kim Simmons, who we've interviewed here a couple times. Sadly, Kim passed away a couple years ago, but he's still fondly remembered. And these guys in the band who are Garnett Grimm, who we interviewed a couple years ago for the last Savoy Brown album, and Pat DeSalvo, both from that band, have joined up with Sean Chambers, and they have recorded this live album. And let me tell you, if you haven't heard it already, it is phenomenal. If you love blues, you're going to absolutely love this record. It's great, believe me. And we haven't talked to Sean, like I said, since his last album, which was That's What I'm Talking About, which is another great album. I encourage you to check out all of Sean's work as well as Savoy Brown. But we had a fun talk. We talked for a little over an hour, so this is a long interview here, but we just had a lot of fun, a lot of laughing, cutting up, a lot of stories, and the story behind this great live album. So while you're at it, would you please hit like and subscribe? Again, it's not going to cost you anything, but it sure helps us out a lot. And share it with your friends, especially blues lovers and people who might have or have not heard of Savoy Brown or of Sean Chambers. So without any further ado, here is my latest interview with Sean Chambers and Garnett Grimm, and now, for the first time, Pat DeSalvo. Until next time, this is Randy Patterson with Boomerosity. Take care. Hello, Garnett.
Hi, can you hear me okay?
I sure can.
Oh,
Now,
okay.
I've interviewed you before, but I can't remember if the inflection for your name is Garnett or Garnett.
Yeah, Garnett.
Garnett. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. And we've got Pat coming on here next. There. And
battles erasure. She also wants visitors to
howdy.
feel at
Pat,
Howdy.
we see eyeglasses in your forehead.
We have Kilroy here. So.
Exactly. Let me go to another room. Watching the news.
No problem. And we got Sean going to be fashionably late. So
Yeah. Oh, you know Sean, huh?
Hey, I talk to musicians all the time. I'm used to it. So
Yeah.
Well, me and Garnett are different.
oh, hold on. I got to deal with this. Hold on. You guys are cut off, and I'm gonna put my phone on do not disturb after this call goes away. So I cannot hear you, but hold on. I hate when that happens. I almost turned that off before. So hold on here. I'm sorry. I'm going to go into airplane mode on this thing. There we go. Good. All right. So anyway, I don't know if you guys said anything during all that, but I said last thing I heard is when I was saying that I deal with musicians all the time, so I'm used to people being late. So just happens, it's an occupational hazard.
Yeah,
So,
they're on their own time, those musicians.
those rascals. No,
where are you out of?
pardon me. I'm in the Smoky Mountains.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. So I'm dadgum, there's now somebody's trying to call me through Facebook. There's
Is
Sean.
that Sean?
Yeah, I was just thinking that, Sean.
No, it wasn't him. It was someone else, a friend that's being a pest. So, but anyway,
We did an interview for the Savoy Brown record, you and I. Yeah.
Yeah, it's been about 2 years ago.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Well, that was a great interview, guys. I'm sorry.
Hey, nice meeting you. See y'all later.
How's it going, fellas?
Oh, there he is.
It's all
How's it
going
going,
well.
Randy?
Super, absolutely super. It's
Good, man.
I was just telling, they were asking me where I am at, and I told them I was up in the Smoky, as the Beatles said, the Smoky Mountains way down south. So I'm about 2 miles, roughly 2 miles up the road from Dollywood.
Oh,
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can hear the whistle blow. I can, when they do their fireworks show, I can hear that. It's it's kind of cool living
Yeah.
here. I live
guess
next door to my dad, and he's in cognitive decline, actually, Alzheimer's, and so
Yeah.
I'm his
Understand that.
caregiver. So I get I'm privileged to get to do that. I really am. I mean,
It is a
that,
privilege.
it is.
Good for you.
Yeah,
But,
that's a very admirable thing. I mean, that's admirable. Admirable. You know, seeing our
Captain.
folks get older isn't easy. What's that, Pat?
I said, aye, Captain. The jokes will be flowing.
Oh yeah.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
No,
You guys will have some stories for you for sure.
Well, Sean, I know you're in Florida. Where are you guys located?
I'm in New York.
Okay.
I'm also in Florida. I'm in Orlando.
Ah,
Yeah, I'm the only guy that braves the cold right now.
you're the only resident Yankee on this call here, right?
That's it.
So,
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
so Pat, I imagine you're everybody's favorite person to know since you're near or in Orlando. I could kind of feel your pain because here people like to say, see if they can have a free place to stay to go to Dollywood, and so
Right.
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
sure you get a lot of that where down your way.
I could send you a picture from the other night. I had 7 women dancing around this house, staying over. It was crazy.
Seven women.
Yep.
Wow.
That-
What
Yeah.
did that set you back?
My credit card's maxed.
Pat, is that why you're working?
That's why he smiles all the time. Now we know.
Yeah,
So, well, guys, I'm glad this is able to happen here. I was just looking back at my notes, Sean. It's been 4 years. I was kind of wondering what it was I said to keep you from talking to me for 4 years. What happened, man?
Oh man, well, I mean, I think just the bottom line is that I think if I'm not mistaken, the last time we spoke is when I did when my last album was released, which was 2001. So I mean 2021. So yeah, it's been a few years, but thank you very much for having us back on, and we're real stoked about the new album. It's getting some great press and radio play, and definitely appreciate you having us on your podcast.
Oh, my pleasure. Garnett and I were just talking. It's been a couple years since I last spoke with him. It was right when the last Savoy Brown album came out, wasn't it, Garnett?
Yeah. Yep.
So
Time flies.
it sure does. What was the feedback on that album, by the way? Because I know it came out not long after Kim passed, correct? If I'm remembering correctly.
Yeah, I thought we had lots of good reviews. I thought we had a lot of good play with it. It's tough because we couldn't really support it. We couldn't tour to support it, obviously. So it just kind of had to do what it did.
Yeah.
In the last album, we couldn't tour behind that. I still feel that was our best record we ever did with them.
That was a great album.
Yeah, it was a real good record. And the songs were good and the vibe was good. It was because I'm really we're all pretty critical. I listen to our records. I drove Sean crazy on the last one, going, "We got to get the mix better and everything." And then after hearing it, it's like came out incredible. I'm really impressed with. We worked with some really good people. It
Cool.
was really good.
Cool.
Yeah, but it was tough. Now you got to tour behind the record because you just got to. You got to
Yeah.
be out there.
Yeah,
You
it's
know,
not, it doesn't do you much good because otherwise you're not going to recoup your costs because it's hard
it's
to make
impulse
money.
buying too.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, unless you're selling it as part of your merch, it's hard to make any money off of it because people are going to
Oh yeah,
stream it and, that whole thing. So man, I tell you, I talk to people, mutual fans that love what I love, and they of course want to know how it is when I do what I do, and talking to guys like you, and I tell them, I said, being a musician is not an easy thing. It's hard to make money
Yeah.
being a musician. The only thing harder is somebody being a music minister in a church somewhere.
Yeah.
Then they got the two poorest professions combined. But
Yeah.
but
tough.
it's
it's
changed. It's they marginalized the product. CDs, and then the streaming definitely did. You can go
yeah,
on YouTube or where you can go like so many places, Pandora, Spotify, and you can hear it. You can get the record for free. You can download it for free. Any of the records
yeah.
and listen to tracks. And it's just like one guy at the last show we were at a couple of weeks ago, he actually goes, "Hey, I got a good marketing idea for you guys. Sell CD players." You know,
Well,
he bought
speaking
the
of that,
CD, him and somebody else, but they said we're just buying it to support you. But it's like,
Yeah.
speaking of that, there's a new technology out, and Garnett and Pat and myself are on Cordo Valley Records, and Bruce
Mhm.
Cordo is the owner of the label, and he's also, he had a tech company years ago, and he's a very smart guy, kind of almost 5 years ahead of everybody else as far as technology. So he's part creator of what's called the musical bead card, and we're going to be having these at our shows that are going to be coming up. And basically, what it is, it's um, you basically tap it against your phone. If so, and it'll be about $5 cheaper than the CD. We're going to have these available just at our shows only. And you
Wow.
tap it on your phone, and you can download the whole record. Because a lot of people play music through their Bluetooth on their phone, through their speakers or whatever device, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
And plus it's got 2 bonus tracks that aren't available on the CD. It's got all our
Wow.
social media links. It's got a single video. It's got photos of the band. Um, it's got other albums for sale that they can purchase. So we still have CDs for sale, but for the people that don't have CD players and want to support the band, at our upcoming shows, we'll have this musical bead card, which is a brilliant idea. And like I mentioned, it'll also have 2 bonus tracks that aren't available on the CD. They're only available on the musical bead card. You literally tap it to your iPhone or your Android phone. All the songs are right there. You hit download, they're on your phone, and then you have
Wow.
access to all the other merch as well. And like I said, social media links, videos, pictures. It's really, really a super cool creation, and it's just kind of coming out and breaking out. And Bruce Corto's a big part of that. And so God bless Spotify and Pandora and all the streaming platforms, because it is a way for people to discover us, but we're not making any money. It's like stealing our music. And
Yeah.
all the
Yeah.
other great bands
You're
out there.
getting a fraction of a penny per play or
it's
something.
Right.
ridiculous.
Right. And a lot of
Some
bands, I really believe that once these musical bead cards get popular, and are more people understand what they're about more, a lot of bands may start taking their stuff off of Spotify and off of the streaming platforms. Maybe they will, maybe they won't, but that's kind of one way that we're going to try to, because a lot of times, as you guys probably know, at the shows, people want to buy a CD even if they don't have a CD player, to support the band and they want signatures and stuff like that. And some people don't have CD players, so they can get the musical bead card.
Yeah.
So we'll have both at our merch table. Our next shows are April 12th at the Alley in Sanford, Florida, which is kind of on the outskirts of Orlando. And then April 3rd, April 12th. April 12th, which is a Saturday night, in St. Petersburg, Florida at Baybro Brewing, which is a really great venue. Amazing. They've done amazing things with their stage and their sound and their lighting. And then April 13th, which is a Sunday, we'll be at the Alley in Sanford, and we'll have the musical bead cards, which is kind of brand new. I think it's gonna blow people's mind. It blew my mind when I saw it. It's like a whole new, it's like the next big thing. It's a whole new technology of the way music's going to be streamed and heard, so musicians can actually get paid for their,
for sure. And I think here's the suggestion for whatever it's worth. And this goes back to how the Grateful Dead were about their ticket stubs and such. I mean, there's a great book, I think you can still find it on Amazon, called Everything I Learned About Business I Learned from the Grateful Dead. And part of their whole deal was, they manufactured their own tickets. They weren't with the big ticket people back then. And people started wanting to buy those tickets for the artwork. And those bead cards, you come up with a variety. I mean, it's not a new idea. It's just a new application of an old idea of where you have different artwork for different, say you have 4 or 5 different versions of the same bead card for the same music, but people want the collection and maybe want you to sign all 4 or 5 of them. Or
that's a good point too. Yeah, it's a really good point. Yeah.
Because I tell you, I'm still a media person. You can't see it behind me because I have the virtual backdrop of your live album here, but I've got all over my walls and such, I have autographed albums. Right. And so and they're the vinyl. So I like having the vinyl so I can get them signed so I can hang them on my wall. But other people still like that physical media. They want to read the liner notes just like we did when we were kids.
Exactly.
Like
yeah.
And so having something that a person could hold, and even if it is the bead cards, then they can put them in little binders just like they did the CDs, except going with smaller sleeves. You guys could sell the sleeves, slide those things in there, and people will eat that up. I think
they will, man. I don't have mine yet. I'll have them soon here. They're just coming out of production, but everybody, the few people I've talked to about it are really stoked about it. So the way I see it is there's going to be some people that want the CD. There's going to be people that want the musical bead card. There may be some people that want both. And there's
always going to be vinyl too. So
that may be the next thing that we're talking about too. But the musical bead card does have 2 bonus tracks on it that we did live from Daryl's House Club that aren't available on the album. So it's pretty cool.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, it's a good idea. It'd be good if they had something also that they could download from the internet, Sean.
Mm-hmm.
Like a poster or something.
No, all that's available.
All
that's available. We're going to have posters, pictures, videos, other CDs for sale. So when they buy the musical bead card, it's $5 cheaper than the CD. They get 2 bonus tracks, and also all the other CDs will be for sale on the card. So everything is right there on their phone. It's like everything is on your phone, from the album to the merch store to the additional bonus tracks, to the videos, to the social media links, to everything.
We could do a calendar.
Yeah, and you're exactly right. Yeah, and we're gonna have posters. We'll have posters, like you mentioned, Pat, on there, and we can also, our show dates will be on there.
Right.
You can. It's pretty much whatever you want to put on there, you can put on there. And
I was just going to say, then watch what Taylor Swift does with it.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, she's already taken all her stuff off Spotify and Pandora and all that stuff.
Sean, I think we'll each do a calendar, like we'll be like a Playboy calendar.
Yeah, well, that'd be the Pat DeSalvo swimsuit edition.
Yeah, edition.
Yeah,
I think
with
we
the
should do that.
7 dancing women with them.
I think it would be very successful.
We're trying to make money here.
We don't want to get sued.
Yeah.
This is going to be obscene somewhere.
Yeah. No, but yeah, but to your point, Pat, that's a good point. Like all the merch, like posters, merchandise will all be available right there on the musical beat. It's really a cool concept, actually.
I need to reach out to Cordo and see if he'll talk to me and just have I don't talk to too many record executives anymore.
You should talk to him. He's a smart friggin' guy.
Yeah, he's not only smart, he's super cool, and he really knows the business and what he's doing.
He owned a pretty big IT company. He's put out a couple movies too.
Really? Wow.
Yeah, he's done a real. He's pretty sharp.
Well, my career was in tech before I retired, and so I was in telecom and.
So am I.
Really?
What did you do in telecom?
Well, I was with Nortel before they
really.
Yeah.
Oh my God! It was a Canadian company. I put a ton of those in Meridians. Put a ton of them in.
Oh yeah.
I just did an Avaya IP cloud today.
Really?
Actually,
wow.
The only person that's putting out a premise-based system is Avaya now. They're the only one. Nobody else.
I think they wound up with a lot of Nortel's IP in the auction when that happened.
And then when they sold them off, they wound up buying almost all the whole database. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
We'll have to have a separate call and talk shop on that one.
Yeah.
If I can remember anything. So, well, guys, this live album I love. This is really, really cool. I'm glad to see it out. Guys, take turns telling me the stories behind getting it made and why there at that venue, all that kind of stuff. Fill me in.
John?
So basically last year 2024 we had about a 2.5-3 week tour in April, and then we had a couple weeks off, and then we went back out in May. So May 2nd we were scheduled to play Daryl's House Club, and going back a few weeks, my A&R guy at Corda Valley Records, Mike Carden, had said, what are your thoughts on doing a new record? Because the last record they released, like we just previously spoke about, was in 2021. So it's time to do a new album. And he said, do you have any original material? Like, where are we at with the new record? And I said, me and the guys have some ideas, but we just got off the road in April. We got 2 weeks off, and we're going back out in May. So I said, I've got some ideas. Me and the guys have some ideas, but by the time we get back in town after the next tour in May, it's going to take a good couple months to put everything together and put the arrangements together, etc. And he said right off the bat, well, what about a live album? And I thought for a second, my last live album was 2011, and it did really well. And I said, that's a brilliant idea, And so I looked at the schedule of where we were playing, and Daryl's House Club is all totally set up to do a live DVD. Matter of fact, Savoy Brown, Pat Garnett, and Kim Simmons did a live DVD from Daryl's House Club years ago.
Oh wow,
that was excellent. And and they offer, and it's not that much. They offer video DVDs. They'll record you and do a CD audio recording. They're totally set up for that.
Wow.
So I told Mike, I said, that's a great idea, man. Like, why don't we just do a live album? And then we decided to do it live from Daryl's House Club. So the way we approached it was, let's just do our show the way that we do all our shows every night. We're not doing anything different. And then from the 25, 26, 27 songs that we do on our show, we're going to have to pick 11 or 12 songs that we want to have, on the CD. So that's what we did. It was actually May 2nd, 2024. We played Daryl's House Club in Pawling, New York, and worked with Peter Moshe, who is an excellent.
Excellent.
Yeah, he's the best.
He is really good.
Yeah,
He's a cool guy. I
He's
like
been
him.
Yeah.
a long time. He's been with Daryl Hall for a long time, I think.
85 years, and he was with the Cars before that, and he was with Michael Jackson before that.
Wow.
Yeah.
I
He's
think
had
he
quite a
did the
career.
shows. I think he didn't he work on the shows with Daryl
He
live.
does all the TV shows, yeah.
Oh, he
Yeah.
does. Yeah, he does. He's still his. Yeah, he's like his. Yeah, yeah.
He's a good guy.
He does all his audio stuff. He used to be the front of house guy for Hall and Oates and Daryl Hall for like a couple decades, but now he's just does the Live from Daryl's House, which is the TV show. The Live from Daryl's House Club is the club. Two different things. But so
Yeah,
anyways,
the house is up in what, Pennsylvania or something?
no, it's
isn't
in Pauling. It's in Pauling.
It's in yeah, not too
No,
far
no,
from
the
New York
venue, but
City.
he's talking about his house.
Oh, well, he's
The
Yeah,
actual
I think
house.
I think Daryl Hall lives in Pauling, doesn't he?
he was in the Adirondacks, I think, for a while, and
Okay. I was under the impression that he lived in Pauling, but and he
I heard
and he,
Cuba.
what's that?
I heard Cuba.
you.
In any
For the
case,
cigars.
so we basically did our show. We recorded live. The crowd was very enthusiastic. You know, I let everybody know when we did the show that we're doing a live CD. So make some noise. You know, get crazy. We want you to be part of the CD. We did our show, and then you know after the tour was over, we listened to all the tracks and picked 12. And it's hard to pick 12 songs because, you know, we all had our, you know, our input on what should be on the album, but I think we all were in agreement on the 12 songs that made the album. And it was mixed by Mark Everton Gray because Peter Moshe was actually just getting ready to go into session with Daryl Hall. So he couldn't mix the record. So it was actually mixed. He referred me to Mark Everton Gray, who's his go-to guy, who does a lot of work with those guys.
He's
And Mark
really,
Everton,
he's great too.
yeah, he was great. He
really-
mixed the record, and it was really cool. He's got this software program where I can put on my headphones here on the computer, like I'm talking to you guys, and I can see you guys. I can see him, and he'll go, "Okay, I'm going to play this track right now. Let me know, you know, what you want to do." And I would listen to it and go, "Man, turn the bass up. You know, the snare needs to come up a little bit. You know, whatever. But add a little bit of reverb to the vocals, you know." And that's basically how we mixed the record. And he did a fantastic job. And we're just really proud of the record. I'm really proud of the record. It's people seem to be we're getting a great response from it, which we're very thankful for. And that's kind of how the whole concept of doing the live album from Dell's House Club came about, you know.
Cool. Guys, what would you add to that?
It was a good experience playing there. It always is, and they got great food, and and no, it came out real. I was really happy the way it came out. I'm never happy the way I listen to stuff and go like, because you know you listen. I try not to listen to my parts. I try to listen to the whole band, you know. And if I do something, it's like whatever. But if the song sounds good, you let it go.
Mhm.
But we played good, and it was good. Everything was. I can't complain about anything. I got to be honest with you. It's a really good. I like the CD, and normally I don't like anything I do. Yeah, Ain't Done Yet. I like that was the other one. The second to last one we did, and Witchy Feeling was really good. But yeah, it's tough when you listen to yourself play because it's like when you hear yourself talk.
Well, it's we're our own worst critics, you know.
Yeah,
So,
definitely. Well, you want to, you want to give the best. I hate to say product, but product to the people.
well, performance,
Yeah,
you know, the
performance.
best in product. It is a product, and it's performance, you know. So
Yeah, I think that it was a good icebreaker for this particular group of, you know what I mean? For this it was a good way because it took a little bit of the pressure off of having to come out of the gate with an all original material. But and also, I think it was nice. You know, we tipped our hats to Kim on the album, and we did our best to play a couple of Savoy Brown songs, and you know, make that happen. And so I felt pretty good about it, you know.
We got a thumbs up
It's
from
always a
Roger.
little, what's that?
I said we got a thumbs up from Roger.
Well, I got a thumbs up from Roger, yeah.
Yeah,
Um,
Roger Roll from Foghat. You know, they just
Oh yeah,
he,
yeah.
he texted Pat. They're friends. You know, they've known each other for a while. Pat and Garnett and those guys, and said how much he liked the record. And then a couple days ago, well, I think actually yesterday, they made a post on their page saying the CD Roger Earl, which is the only original member left in Foghat.
Yep.
One of my favorite bands too, by the way. I grew up
Yep.
listening to these guys. And
Roger's a great guy. Yeah.
he's a super guy. I don't know him, but I mean the impression I get, the vibe I get, and what Pat and Garnett tell me about him, he's a really great guy. And the band sounds great. Scott Holt, who's a friend of mine, is fronting the band, and I'm really happy for him. And the band is fantastic. But yeah, they gave us a big shout. They texted Pat and told him how much they liked the record.
They did it twice. Actually.
Yeah,
Which is
on
kinda
Facebook
cool.
or texts.
On Facebook.
Really?
Yeah.
It's just so, you know, like it's for me, you know, I just remember being a kid listening to that, you know, listening to
Flow Ride, yeah.
yeah,
Yep.
just
Oh,
all
just
their
any of the
hits.
Bobcat stuff was great.
There's so many, yeah.
Dave was a great singer, man.
Yeah, man, and just to get a nod from them means the world to me. It really does. It's just
Yeah.
you know, it's we're doing something right. I think I feel it
Oh,
too,
yeah.
and we're playing because we get great reaction from the crowd. You know, and it's full circle. You know, we feed off the energy from the crowd. They feed off our energy, and it just feels right. Everything we're doing, you know, and we're just I feel very blessed to be able to still play music and be with Pat and play with Pat and Garnett, who are fantastic musicians, but also really great people, man. Like me and Pat and Garnett, hopefully they feel the same. But we have a great chemistry on the stage, but also off the stage, you know.
Yeah.
And so when we
Yeah,
tour
no
together, there's there's not a lot of drama on the road. We do our job, and we have fun doing it. We enjoy each other's company, and then back home we go for a little while, then back out on the road we go, and it's great. I love it.
Yeah.
Randy, did you know that 3 members of Foghat were in Savoy Brown?
Yeah, had forgotten that until
Yeah.
we started talking, and then it's like, and I remember then it's been a couple years since I interviewed Roger, but you know, the whole Savoy Brown connection was mentioned at some point when we were talking. I don't know if it made it to the final cut or not, but yeah, I mean, that's what I love about our genres here, is because there is that cross pollination, yeah, that takes place. Almost said crossbreeding, but that gives terrible imagery. So, but,
You know what else is? It's kind of interesting. Was Dave Walker was a singer for Kim, and he also played with Black Sabbath for a while and Fleetwood Mac.
oh wow,
I
Yeah,
didn't
there's
even know that. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
interesting.
actually, one of the bass players was in the Plasmatics.
Yeah, so much history.
Some of the guys were UFO, and
Yeah.
I can't think of the other bands now. There's a ton of.
Yeah. Well, Bill Bruford from Yes.
Oh yeah, Bill Bruford from Yes.
Savoy Brown.
Bill Bruford from Yes played with Kim, and I go, Kim, what happened with Bill? And he looked at me, and goes, he couldn't boogie. Yeah, it was like, are you kidding me? He goes, amazing drummer, but he couldn't boogie. It was hysterical.
Too busy.
yeah, we've mentioned Kim. We've mentioned Kim a lot, and boy, I interviewed him 2 or 3 times. He's just always such a nice guy to me. I mean, here he is, this legend, you know, and I'm just this guy trying to, you know, I'm a fan. I don't consider myself a journalist, and so it's just the graciousness that he always showed to me. Really,
That's what he
meant a lot
was.
to me.
He really was. We got a ton of stories on him, believe me.
Yeah.
But
Sweetheart. I miss
he
him.
was a character, you know.
Yeah.
We'll leave it
What-
at that.
When,
He was
what do you-
also
go ahead.
Kim was also a great painter. If you go to his website, a lot of his matter of fact, behind me,
I see it.
if you see
Yeah,
that
the
painting of
guitar.
the guitar right there,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, that was a Kim Simmons painting, and
Wow.
I purchased that off his website, to support him. Plus, I loved his artwork, and we've had this on our wall for the last 4 years. He
Oh,
was just a
cool.
talented, super, like Garnett and Pat said, genuinely nice, super humble, talented human being.
Well, with you guys working together, I'm curious how are fans reacting to, because I'm sure there's a Savoy Brown contingent that comes to the shows, and Sean, you have a loyal following. What how what are you hearing from your fans about all of that? I mean, I would imagine because you have people showing up that must be mostly positive. Tell me what you're hearing from the crowds.
Well, I hear that nothing but great stuff. I mean, I really feel blessed, Randy, because I've ever since I've started playing music, I feel like I've always had really good bands.
Hmm.
But I think with Pat and Garnett, it's a step above what I've had in the past. And it's no
Appreciate
disrespect to
you've
my
had a lot
former
of good
band
bands,
members.
though, Sean. I mean,
Huh?
overstep. Let me just step over. You've had a lot of really good bands, though.
Well, thanks. I think so
You
too. I
really have.
really do. I really do. I've had a lot of great talented guys. And but Pat and Garnett to me, playing with Pat and Garnett, they keep me on my toes. They make me want to do better rather than just kind of getting, you know, just what's the word?
Complacent.
Complacent. Yeah, thank you. Yeah. And to do a three-piece trio like we do, you have to have the right bass as a guitar player. I mean, you have to have the right bass player and the right drummer. If you have
Hmm.
a bass player that's just going ding 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 ding, it's not going to work. Pat's over
Right.
there going and he moves around the stage. And he moves
Mhm.
more than I do. I try to keep up with his movements. So I feel like, he makes me do a better show. And Garnett on the drums is flawless. Like his timing and his everything is just impeccable. I mean, so and
Well, with
with
a
that
three
being
piece,
said,
there's no hiding with a three piece. That's what I like about it.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
that's true. That's true. And
everybody's got to play.
yeah, and with that being said, Garnett and Pat have been playing together for decades, and before Savoy Brown,
Yeah.
and they were Kim Simmons, longest rhythm section and the last rhythm section that he had, and we all met in 2019 and all became friends, and Kim was, he was. I talked to Kim, probably 5 or 6 times on the phone, and when we were in Europe, Pat and Garnett and I did our first tour together October 2022 in Europe. And we had a
Wow.
couple days off, and Pat and Garnett would call Kim and put him on speaker. And we talked for 20 or 30 minutes, and we would talk about music and football and life and what's going on with him, what's going on with us. But it was always at the end of the conversation, he would just say how proud he was and just wish us the best and just, man, you guys got to keep the music going. And you know, we
Yeah.
we all were positive that he was going to pull through this, but unfortunately he didn't. But
Yeah.
it was just good to have his blessings, and to me, it's a blessing to be able to have known Kim, and now to be able to be playing with Pat and Garnett. I'm just really musically, I'm on cloud nine.
Yeah,
It's
I
a big.
think I've gotten positive responses from all the crowds as well. A lot of times I get Savoy Brown fans that will come up and say, "Hey, thanks for keeping it going." And so I
Yeah,
think it's a positive thing. Yeah,
yeah,
it's been positive. Yeah.
And it shows on stage. The three of us really do. When we're on the road, everybody's a little. I'm probably the most difficult person of the three of them, but
oh, definitely. I know, I'm just kidding.
I know I am. I fucking know I am. But the three of us really get along, and it comes across on stage, and people see that. You can't hide that. People see that. They see us playing and looking at each other and smiling, it's they enjoy that. That's
Yeah.
we're not going through the motions. I can't do that type of gig. I've done those gigs for years, and it's I did it for the money, because you got to make money, but it's just not worth it to me.
Well,
if I'm gonna play,
fans sense it too. I'm not a
well,
musician,
definitely,
but I've gone to enough shows and watched enough situations where you could tell the band members hated each other, or
Yeah,
they're bored, they're tired, they don't feel well,
yeah,
whatever. But the crowd responds when the band's having fun.
definitely.
yeah,
Yeah. And when you can sense, a fan can sense the synergy that's taken
definitely.
place among the
Yeah.
band members, I think
Well
at
Yeah.
said.
least.
Yeah. Well said. Yeah.
Yeah, when it
So
becomes work, you can tell.
yeah, yeah. Well, what about surprises in putting this album together? Did you guys run into any surprises while you were doing the gig, or pre or post gig putting it all together? Anything you weren't expecting?
Uh, I, I gotta tell you, no, for me there wasn't a lot of surprises, which I'm glad, because live recordings can be a little bit tricky in that way. But I think Pat and I have played together so long that we kind of know each other very well on stage. So I felt pretty confident we were gonna, you know, play well. From a drumming standpoint, with live show recordings, always my fear is always playing things too fast, or sometimes tempos get crazy. But it was pretty good, I have to say. And I think it's just our experience together, and the maturity that we brought to the stage allowed us to have a pretty steady flow, I thought, that night. I slept well that night. I was good. I remember Sean had the computer. He was looking right away. You were listening to the tracks. I said,
Oh
"Oh,
yeah.
sleep on
Yeah.
it." Yeah.
This is like our new baby. So
Yeah, but I felt pretty confident. I felt pretty confident myself. I can't speak for the other guys, but I felt pretty comfortable. And it did help. Pat and I had worked with Peter Moshe before, so it was very comfortable. I knew it was going to be quite comfortable, so it was good.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, what was different about putting this album together? I mean, I know it was a live album. It had been a few years, Sean, since you did a live album. You guys, I believe, had done some live work with
Yeah.
Kim. What
Four of them.
what was different about this one than any of the live albums the three of you have worked on?
Different. Um,
Well, it was our first recording,
yeah.
so there was that. And when you do a live record, oh my God, you got to make sure everything's good. You're playing now. You got to play the right notes, but you want to make sure you do the right groove, and you want to make sure everything's the best it can be, because now it's documented. Now you're going to put it out. So,
Yeah.
and a lot of people don't know. Like a lot of people do. The real fan really listens, and they get it. But a lot of people put the radio on, or they'll put Spotify or Pandora on, and they're just walking around. They're just listening to what they like to listen to. But there are people that really study and listen to what you do. Other musicians of mine follow the band. You know what I mean? Which
Mhm.
is great. So you want to make sure you do a good. You want to make sure you do a good performance.
Yeah.
absolutely.
We had the green light to do tracks over if we had to that night, but we didn't. I don't believe we had to do anything over. I think everything we played, we just played the set. Played a set. So I think that was good. So what was different?
The
We didn't make any mistakes. I'm just kidding. I don't know.
The
Yeah.
only the only thing that was different. The only you actually didn't. You
Yeah.
didn't make any mistakes.
We did do a few
There
things
was.
over, Garnett.
I'll tell you what. There was no punch-ins on this album. This is
No.
truly a live album. There was no
Yeah.
punch.
Yeah.
There was
Really?
no
Wow.
overdubs, no punch-ins. It's just live, raw, and then mixed and mastered and out the door, you know. But the only live album I've done was in 2011. It was my fourth album, and it was called Live from the Long Island Blues Warehouse. And that was actually a radio show. And they invited us to do the radio show. We weren't planning on doing a record. But what it is that you go to a studio, it was in Deer Park, Long Island. And what it is it's for the radio show, and it's in a studio so they can get great sounds for the music. And the host of the show would sit on a podium off to the side of the stage, and he would have you play a song, and they would ask a question. So, Sean, what inspired you to play music, et cetera, et cetera? I would answer the question. He'd say, okay, so what do you have for us next? And we'd play a song. And then he'd say, you know, for example, if Pat was in the band at the time, you know, so Pat, what brought you into the band? What's your influences, and Garnett, et cetera. So when I did the only other live album I had was in the studio, and it was going to be for a radio show. But my manager at the time, Jeff Fisher, said, since we're going to be in a studio, why don't we do a live album out of it? And I said, that'd be great, but you know, it'd be nice to have some people in the audience, which would be kind of difficult at a studio. But the guy from Deer Park, Long Island, that runs the radio show said, well, he was part of the Blues Society there. And he said, we can invite like 40 or 50 Blues Society members and hang some room mics, you know, and put some fold out chairs. And so we basically, they mic'd everything for the radio show, and they put another mic on everything for the hard drive for the album. And at the time, we had our own studio in Florida. My bass player at the time, Tim, had his own studio in Florida. So what we did is we took the whole recording of the show back to Florida when we were off tour. We cut out all the editorial and all the talking of the radio show and just took the songs and picked 11 or 12. I forget how many was on that Live from the Long Island Blues Warehouse album. And we just picked 11 or 12 songs and mixed it, mastered it, and put out a record. But it was kind of in a studio setting. There was a crowd there, so we had, you know, the energy there to feed off of the crowd and whatnot. But for me personally, this is the first live album I've done in a live club setting, you know, in a live concert setting, you know, where there's no overdubs, there's no, you know, it is what it is kind of thing. So
Yeah.
that was the only difference for me, you know.
Yeah.
Interesting. What's the I'll ask each of you this question. What song from the album would you point to as a calling card for the whole album? Not necessarily your favorite song, but, and it may be one and the same, but you'd point to that song and say, hey, if you like how we sound here, you're going to love the rest of the record.
I'll go Street Corner Talking.
I'd have to agree. I mean, I agree. I love that song. I love playing it. I love listening to it. Get great crowd response from it. I'd say Street Corner Talking, and then the title cut for my sixth album, Trouble and Whiskey, which is a slow blues tune. Street Corner Talking is more upbeat. And those two songs, Trouble and Whiskey and Street Corner Talking, I've heard a lot of great response from those two songs. And, you know, the whole album, but those two songs have kind of got a lot of play on the radio, etc.
Yeah, I don't know. For myself, I haven't really thought about it. I liked how all of it kind of ran together. But Sean's got some great songs like Honeybee, or right? Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, Sweeter Than a Honeybee. Yeah.
Sweeter Than a Honeybee. I mean, so you gotta give yourself some props too there. That's a great
Yeah,
song.
that's one I wrote for my wife, Karen. And you know, we play it at most of all of our shows. That's a crowd pleaser. Everybody loves it. And another one that I really enjoy playing, just to get off topic of my originals, but for the Savoy tunes, because basically our show consists of mostly my originals, a handful of Savoy Brown songs, half a dozen or so, and then a few select cover songs that we play. But is Street Corner Talk, and Cobra is one that we open with every once in a while. That's a great opener. And then what's the
Louisiana
other?
Blues.
Louisiana Blues. Thank you. Yeah, I was having a brain fart there. Louisiana Blues. I really enjoy playing that song, man. That's it's actually was written by Muddy Waters, and Kim Simmons and Savoy Brown redid it back in what was it, you guys? Was it like the late 60s or early 70s?
Late 60s, early 70s, yeah.
Yeah, and it's just a great. I think I really believe that Kim made that song popular and put it on the map, and I really love playing that song. So
Yeah.
I personally, I may be a bit biased, but I liked all the songs on the album. And,
Well, it is. It's a great album. It
yeah,
really
It is.
thank
It actually is. I hate to yeah, it is. I'm really happy with it. I wasn't at first, I gotta be honest. I was listening to it and I go, like, I don't like the way it sounds. And I kept calling Sean and go, Sean, what the hell's going on? And but it came out good, came out great. So
I said, Pat, trust me.
Yeah.
yeah, the check's in the mail.
Yeah.
We got a couple more I won't say.
Yeah.
I think we all know what the next one was. Anyway.
Man, I got to just say, it's just such a great experience playing with Pat and Garnett, and we have a lot of fun. I can't even express how much fun we have fun playing on stage together, and it was really a lot of fun doing this album, and then working on the mix and the mastering, and now it's out, and just to see all the really good press we're getting, and the great feedback we're getting, and the radio play we're getting. We're on the charts. We were on Billboard the first couple weeks, and it's just very, I'm very humbled, and I feel very, very blessed to be able to do this, especially nowadays when everything is so much tougher than it used to be.
Yeah.
I feel like we're lucky,
Yeah. Well, I think it's a good representation of what the band does, what we do in a normal evening. It's pretty dynamic, which, I think is, that's kind of something that's, I think important is, we show some different styles. We get pretty rocking, but yet we can bring it down. So it's pretty dynamic in that sense. So I think it's a good all around sort of representation of what we do. So
Yeah, if you like rock blues, this is it.
yeah.
What is it about Florida that makes blues such a big thing down there? I mean, I see it all the time. All sorts of different artists. I know I know a lot of fans down there. It just seems like Florida is just a hot spot for. I mean, I think if a guy can't make money playing the blues in Florida, there's something wrong, because it just seems like there's just a ton of blues fans down there. Am I all washed up on that, or is that true?
No, I think it's true. I mean, I heard years ago, 10, 12 years ago, from some folks that like Chicago is still the number one blues capital of the United States, but Florida's the second.
Wow.
And there's just always been so many good bands that come out of Florida. I mean, there's good bands everywhere, don't get me wrong, but
Right.
I mean, like growing up in Florida, like I did, I grew up listening to, Tom Petty and the Allman Brothers, and, Leonard Skinner. And I mean, the list goes on and on of all the bands that have come out of Florida. And there's just a ton, and I don't know why, I can't answer the question, but there's a ton of great bands in Florida. There's actually more great bands than there is venues to play. I mean, especially nowadays after COVID and everything, but
Yeah.
I can't answer. That's a really good question. I don't know. I don't know. I remember watching an interview with Stevie Ray Vaughan probably 20, 25 years ago. And they said, what is it about Texas and all the Texas star players? And he said, I don't know. It must be in the air and the water or something. But that's the only way I can explain it in Florida too. I mean, there's a lot of talent for it,
Yeah.
I
Really?
was at Stevie's funeral, believe it or not.
Were you
Wow.
really?
Really? Yeah, I
Wow.
lived in Dallas at the time. Yeah, it was
Wow.
it was a mind blower to be there. It really was. Seeing the guys
Wow.
from ZZ Top, and Jimmy, of
Oh
course,
yeah.
was there, and
Oh
Bonnie
yeah.
Raitt, and Stevie
Man.
Wonder, and Jackson Brown. Those are the ones I remember. But
Well, I
Wow.
know Stevie Ray did his first Texas Flood, Stevie Ray's first album. He did at Jackson Brown. Jackson Brown invited him to do that at his studio, but it was intended to be a demo tape.
Wow.
They recorded Texas Flood at Jackson Brown's home studio,
wow,
and it ended up being mixed and mastered and turning into Texas Flood, which is released as his first album.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that. Wow.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I want
Because
to.
Jackson Brown was a big fan, of Stevie's.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
when I walked up, I got to the funeral late. I had my daughter, who was young at the time. We were walking up, and as we were walking up, it was Stevie Wonder, Bonnie Raitt, and Jackson Brown singing "Amazing Grace" a cappella.
Oh wow.
I would
Wow.
have given anything to have had the ability to have recorded that. It was
Wow.
back before smartphones and all that, of course. But what a mind-blowing experience to walk up on. It was pretty cool. But I want to ask you guys a question off of the album. I think you guys might have some unique perspective on it. I've been asking people this question a lot lately. And I don't know who wound up with the Savoy Brown catalog, who owns the copyrights and all that, but we've all seen the press and know people are selling their catalogs. And we also see this boiling up of the use of AI in the music business. What are your guys' thoughts of that? Do you see that as a good thing, a bad thing, indifferent? How do
Well,
you view all this?
yeah, I've thought about it a little bit. My first thoughts are I'm a little scared of it. It could be my age, but I'm thinking, oh, I don't know. I'm not sure that this will be a good thing. But I've heard some different things about it. Obviously you can see that there can be some good things about it, but yeah, I mean, I'm hoping that it never goes away, that people want to see musicians playing their instruments together.
Mm-hmm.
That's something that I think is really important. So I don't know, just the word artificial intelligence itself sort of scares me, that the whole thought of it. But I mean, it's here for better or for worse. It's here, so you've got to deal with it somehow. So I'm hoping we can get some good from it, somehow. So that's my initial thoughts in the early game. Ask me 10 years from now. I don't know.
Either that or AI might ask you. I might
Yeah,
not be
right.
able to.
Well,
Exactly.
I like what Joe Walsh had to say about AI. He was signing some autographs, and then he was walking away, and one of the reporters ran up to him and go, "Joe, we love your music. What are your thoughts on AI?" And he said, "Well," he goes, I don't know anything about AI, but he goes, one thing I can tell you is, if they can stay on the fifth floor of a hotel and throw a television out of the window and land it right in the middle of the center of the swimming pool, he goes, then I'll be a believer. But he goes, until AI can do that, I don't know anything about it. So I kind of liked his
I saw
response.
that's a great one. I'm
Yeah.
anti-AI. I don't like AI. I don't like the internet. I don't like computers, even though I have to work with it. I just think it's really bad.
Yeah.
The robots are coming.
Yeah.
That's all I can say.
Well, one benefit I see, but I wish it was coming sooner rather than later, is purely from the standpoint of being able, to put the ether crawlers out to be able to monitor its play, whether it's on radio, sat radio, the streamers like Apple, so on and so forth, so that artists and the publishing owners, now it's becoming bigger and bigger corporations buying up these catalogs, which is what I don't like. But for
Right.
artists to be able to get the money they're owed through accurate accounting, that is one benefit I see.
Yeah, but they're not paying anything out, Randy. That's the
I
problem.
agree. But
They're not
on
paying
the flip,
anything.
but to that point, Pat, I think
Yeah.
what can happen is what I would think should be, and I get your thoughts on this, dynamic royalty pay. And you have dynamic ticket prices, which is, the ebb and flow of the market pressures on the
Right.
tickets. But what if you take, XYZ streaming company and they're charging, let's just say for the sake of easy mathematics here, it's $10 a month. And because I had this interview coming up, I've spent half the month of April listening. Well, no, it's not. It just started. Let's say March. I can do math, but I can't read a calendar. But let's say I was listening the whole month of March to this live album. That's all I listened to on XYZ streaming company. This month, I might listen to, 2 or 3 different artists.
Right.
From month to month, it should come down to, all right, out of, if the month is 100%, regardless of how much I listened, but if I listen to just one, if I listen to one thing, one album, to make the analogy simple, then, and let's say out of the $10 subscription price, this, what it, $2, $3, $4, $5, whatever it is,
Right.
100% of that artist designated piece of the pie would go to you guys.
Yeah.
If I listened to 2 albums, it would be split, or, on a weighted, 60% of my time was listening to you and 40% was listening to someone else, so on and so forth. And the computerization of it should be able to monitor it and automatically do the royalty.
Exactly.
Those are the kinds of things I see.
Great idea.
And it would make it more fair, and it would make it more profitable for people if the streaming companies want to do that. That's where I think the rub is,
Yeah, that's
They're
exactly.
business people. They don't care about, they really don't care. And there's so much material out there. They just look at it and go like, we got tons of product. We got so much product. We don't know what to do with it. Yeah. That's a good idea though. That would be good. A percentage would, if someone listen to something, they would get that percentage, whatever that would be. But they got this standardized thing. I think it's 0.0054 for like Pandora or one of them.
Well,
So
and then the default could be, let's say I took a sabbatical from listening to music. Ain't ever going to happen, but let's just say I did. A month off from listening. Then that fee would go to a pot that would help the up and comers, or maybe backtrack to the rolling averages or weighted averages of everybody I listened to up to that point, and it gets distributed that way. I mean, to me, if I was music czar, that's what I would do.
Yeah.
But they should. When I remember when Napster first hit, I got on because one of my kids showed it to me, and I immediately called Kim up and said, "Kim, I just downloaded 3 of your records," and he didn't know what the hell I was talking about. So I go, "Kim, there's this thing called Napster. You go online, you can download music." And he was like, all of a sudden the whole conversation changed. He goes, "What do you mean? They don't buy it?" I go, "No, you just go get it." And he was like, oh, this isn't good. Right away, he knew right away it wasn't good.
Yeah.
But it's just like, and Napster, actually someone's buying Napster right now for $250 million. Wow. I guess I just saw something on that. Where there's some,
Amazon's bidding on TikTok too. So
I saw that too. Yeah.
It's going to be crazy. That's
wow.
See, that's a problem. And music's become so homogenized and it's become so trite. When we used to all go out and buy a record, we were excited to buy the record. You know what I mean?
It was an event.
It was a big deal. Now people just look at music. I can get it for free, and they download it, they listen to it, whatever. It doesn't have the same meaning. It doesn't. It just doesn't have the same value that I think it used to have years ago. I don't think it's being old or anything. It just doesn't. You know, there's
Well,
no more records.
Sam Andrew told me, he was one of my first interviews when I launched Boomerosity. And he told me in the interview, he goes, Randy, he goes, keep in mind, when we were writing our song, we were creating this. It had not been done before.
Mhm.
He goes, now you have schools that crank out, 500 students a year that can do Hendrix as good as, if not better than Hendrix.
Right.
And it's like Vince Gill said, somebody can create an amp, a farting amp and sell it for 99 cents, but they
Right.
don't want to pay for a song.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I
Exactly.
heard that. I heard that quote too. I thought
I
that
gotta
was
turn the light on.
spot
Hold on.
actually.
What'd you say, Sean?
I said
I gotta
I heard
turn the
that
light
quote
on.
too from Vince Gill, and I thought that was pretty spot on. That's
It is.
a good example of the times right now.
Yep. And that's part of why I do what I do, guys, is because, I'm 65 years old. I'm at the approaching that, it was probably right in the middle of that baby boomer span there. So, some were big brothers, and then we got the little brothers that we look at demographically, but we're dying off slowly but surely. I want people to hear everybody's stories, and even with newer, younger people coming up, such as yourself, Sean. Joe Bonamassa's a couple decades behind me. Things like that, where people can they get a heightened appreciation of the music, and so that they don't take it for granted, that they don't feel entitled to get it for free. Buy the dang CD, get the album, buy the bead card when they start becoming available. Buy the ticket to see your favorite group. Don't wait until there's a next time, because there might not be one either for them or for you, so do it. Support.
Another thing is that they've let people think they all can be important.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? From doing nothing.
Yeah.
Maybe they have a nice body, or they'll say controversial stuff. Also, people who have no right to have the platform because of the platform we're on right now, and that really dilutes everything. I'm amazed the movie industry, the theaters are still there. You know what I mean? Because there's so.
If they make too many more Snow Whites like they just did, it ain't going to be around much longer. So.
Bad. I don't know what Snow White was about.
Well, I just heard it's tanking at the box office. Is all I really know. But
speaking of movies, I just went with my brother. My little brother just turned 50, and we went together and saw the Making of Led Zeppelin on the big screen in the movie theater. That was awesome.
Yeah,
that's a great movie. I would highly recommend that one. But other than that, my wife and Karen and I went and saw a movie at the theater, I don't know, 2 or 3 years ago. But then before that, it was probably 15 years since I've been in the movies.
I know.
Wow.
But the thing is, even going to the movies now, you go into the movie theater and there's 12 people in there,
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know how they stay open.
I don't either.
I mean,
it's called $40 for a tub of popcorn and a Coke.
Yeah, I know.
For $37.50. Yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
But you go in, the sound's amazing, the seats are comfortable, and it's really is a good experience. Well, I only say that because I recently worked at an AMG down here. They had some problems, and I had to go do some work. And then I sat in the theater for a while, and I was just watching stuff and going like, the movie theater is great. I should be coming back and going to see a movie. But then again,
recliners and all that. Yeah.
I click on Netflix or Prime or YouTube or whatever, or Max, and it's right in my house. I don't have to do anything,
Yeah. Yeah. For sure.
I know it's, every generation always goes, oh, this is bad. But I got to be honest with you. Growing up in the late 60s, the 70s, and the 80s, much better. It was.
I agree.
It was.
I agree. I agree too.
it was just way better. Now it's just everything seems trite to me. It
Yeah.
seems cheap. You know,
Yeah.
there's no money value on half the shit that comes out right now. I don't mean to swear, but half the stuff that comes out right now, there just isn't. It just isn't as good.
I totally agree. And like Pat, you were saying earlier, like when you would go buy an album as a kid or a teenager or whatever, you would spend $10 or eight, whatever it was at the time. You know, we were younger, say $8 for an album, but you spent your money on that record and you would go home. I remember I would go home and put the record on my record player and then look at the record. And sometimes it was a double record, and you look at the artwork on it while you're listening to it, and that's your record. It's really cool. You put on a Spotify song on your phone.
Yeah, no, it's not there.
What is that? It has the title of the song. And nowadays people don't have no disrespect to anybody, but I mean, most people don't have the attention span to listen to even the whole song on Spotify. They listen to the first 60 seconds, 70 seconds, and then it goes, well, if you like this, you should hear this. And then they click the next song. And then it's just like, I haven't been around too many people that listen to streaming music and listen to songs all the way through. They seem to like hear a song and then skip to the next one and then skip to the next one. And when back in the days when they had vinyl, it was like Pat was saying, you go buy a record with your hard-earned money or your allowance, whatever it was. And that's your record and it's in your collection. And it's got the cool artwork on it. And you don't want to spend the record, and it means something. Nowadays you just go to Spotify and hit, play. I mean, and it's on your phone and it's not as meaningful,
I think I bought the Tommy James and the Shandels record for 99 cents and Eric Burton or the Animals first Animal Tracks.
Yeah.
And I remember buying, but I would look at the record, who played on it. You would just look at it.
Produced
like the King Crimson record album cover. You're familiar with King Crimson, right?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
That 21st century schizo, the chord or not? Yeah, 21st century schizo. What an incredible! I remember when I first saw that, I bought it. I bought it just to buy the album cover. I went, "What is this?"
Yeah.
It was this rough type, whatever it was. It was a great record. Got a quick story about Robert Fripp. I was in Europe in 1978 or 79. I was looking to get a gig because that's where everything was happening. The punk movement was happening. I happened to be in a place called Dingwalls, and the Gang of Four was playing, and I saw Robert Fripp because he was going to play.
Wow.
He had a suit on, and he had a cup of tea, and I was drunk, and I had a beer, and I went up to him, and I go, "Bob, how you doing?" And I spilled my beer. Honest to God. And I was like, and he walked away like he was almost trembling, like, I'm going to kill this. He walked away from me. I was thinking about that. I got kicked out of the Marquee Club too. Pretty hard to do. I don't know if you know the Marquee Club in London, but
yeah.
Well,
That's
hey,
a great story. I mean, to your point, Pat, too. I can remember when I was younger, as a kid, going out to the record store and just, looking to see what they had. And even if I wasn't that familiar with the band, but the record looked super cool. And I was like,
Beyond.
Yeah, exactly. And I was entranced by the artwork and everything. I'd buy the record because I love the art. I thought it just looked cool.
Yeah.
I wanted to add it to my collection.
Yeah.
It was just, those days are gone,
I used to love looking at that. We met the guy that did all the Grateful Dead album covers in San Luis Abyss. And he came out to a show and we were talking to him. I said, "What do you do now?" And he goes, "Nothing." I go, "Nobody wants artwork anymore. It's not needed, really."
Yeah.
It was kind of weird. He was like an old hippie guy.
One of my friends, we became friends when I interviewed him. Sean, you'll see him like my stuff on Facebook a lot. It's Rob Heimel, and he designed a lot of the iconic record covers, like Jim Croce, The Doors, Barry Manilow. I mean, all sorts of different, Carly Simon, on and on and on. He's got a book out about his album covers that he designed. And
Unreal.
if you see him, when you see him on, comment or like one of my posts, hit him up on a friend request thing. He's a super nice guy.
For
In
sure,
fact,
man. Yeah, that's awesome.
I had him do a feature for a few months. I'm going to wind up putting it on my YouTube channel as a separate section. I'm going to have him and Bob Gruen, the famous photographer. He was a monthly contributor for 2 years to Boomerosity, telling backstories behind a lot of his photographs that are so well known. So that'll be coming out sometime this year. But
that's awesome, man. That's awesome. You've got some history yourself, Randy. It's obviously, and it's really cool hearing some of your stories as well. And we appreciate you having us on.
Well, it's people. I want people to hear about you guys, and
Thank you.
You guys do amazing work, and I hope you guys make it up this way sometime. There's blues enthusiasts up here in East Tennessee. So
If you got a venue, send it to Sean.
okay, how big? What's minimum size you need?
I don't know. I'm thinking around 35,000. Minimum. So maybe $750 a ticket. Something like that.
And
no, I don't know. You know what?
The VIP package too, of course. To go on that. So
no, I mean we're happy to play, and we're lucky to be able to do what we do. So, the venue, if it works out and it works, a lot of what matters in touring also is the routing. So.
Yeah.
So if you're going through
where
Tennessee,
you're going to or from,
yeah, they may not. People say, well, why don't you play here and then go to here and then play here and play here? Why do you go here and then go back here? Well, it's because the availability at the venue may not be there. We may need, for example, October 17th in this area, and they may not have anything until October 30th. So I mean, routing plays a huge part in booking a tour. So a lot of fans, I don't know if they realize that or not. I'm sure some people do. But when you're booking a tour, that plays a big part of it. We'd love to come through Tennessee. And to answer your question, I mean, if it's a decent club with a decent sound system and they want to have us in there, I mean, we're all for it,
Well, there's a real small venue in Knoxville called the Open Chord. Randy, gosh, I forget Randy's last name now, but it's small. It's a converted Golden Corral or something. I can't read, one of those steakhouse or chains, and they have a guitar store in the back of it. I think he carries Taylor or something, but small little place. I mean, I've seen some names in there, but it's small. I mean, it would almost, for that to work for you, it'd almost have to be, you just needed a night, you had a night in between A and B, and, you could play, for gas money or something. I don't know. I don't want to, dictate that, but I know one or two of the talent buyers that are, that do little concert promotions and stuff. I'll see if, if they can get with you, and if you got other gigs up, within driving distance.
That would be great, man. Because we go through Tennessee every, once or twice a summer. I mean, that'd be fantastic. I appreciate you. If you want to shoot me the contact information, we'll follow up on it.
I'll see if I can dig that up and get that to you, because they're just, there's a blues society here. I used to be pretty active in it, but then just prior to COVID, I kind of lost it. It got a little cliquish, but they're a decent group of people, and they bring some names through, but in small venues, so one way or another, I'll try to get something, get some contacts for you on that. But
that'd be great, man. Thanks, Randy. I appreciate it. And hopefully we'll meet you sometime sooner than later at a show or something.
Yeah, that would be phenomenal. Yeah. Well, listen, guys, I'll give you your evening back. It was a privilege to talk to all three of you. Sean, it's great to talk to you again. Same with you, Garnett and Pat. Let's talk again. So let's talk offline sometime and talk.
Yeah, I want to talk to you sometime.
Yeah, I started off in installing DMS 100s. So
oh my God,
right after divestiture. So yeah, that's how I got in it. So we got
Yeah,
war
the
stories to
BCM
share.
product, they had a great product. I mean, it was
Yeah.
really good, really easy to program. The phones were actually good. I was at NEC. I worked with NEC for, I don't know, 25, 35 years, whatever I did. But I just went to Avaya school a couple years ago. What a piece of shit. What a piece.
Yeah. Well,
Ugh.
yeah, it's a different world now. That's for sure.
Yes,
So,
it is. Everything's cloud based.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, listen, guys,
Randy,
have a great
thank you.
evening, and let's talk again soon. Okay.
All
Yeah,
right.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, Randy.
Thank you,
Appreciate
Randy.
it.
Appreciate it, man. Thank you so much.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
This has been another stellar episode of Boomerosity with your host, producer, and friend, Randy Patterson. The theme music is Roll the Dice by our good friend Quentin Hope, and all rights reserved and used by permission, of course. Post-production is done by Cardinal Sins Productions. The Boomerosity name, logo, and content is copyright protected, so all segments may only be used with written consent by Boomerosity and/or its assignees. You should direct your inquiries to input@boomerosity.com, and the copyright is 2025.